Explore a colorful new world, collect wonderful new slimes, and build a new home on the Rainbow Island. Hey there friends, it's Codiak here, welcome to Legacy Gaming. Today, we're checking out Monomi Park's brand new sequel to their incredibly popular action-adventure game, Slime Rancher 2. If you've never heard of Slime Rancher before, all I ask is that you keep an open mind, because I'll be honest, the first time I heard about this game, I immediately dismissed it. Maybe it was the quirky premise, perhaps the cartoonish graphics, but for whatever reason, the game just wasn't on my radar. That is until one day when I took a leap of faith, and man, I'm so glad I did because Monomi Park absolutely hit it out of the park. Slime Rancher, and subsequently the latest game, Slime Rancher 2, is one of the most relaxing and addicting experiences ever created, full stop. The developers have managed to create something completely unique and build upon that in the latest installment, laying the path for another smash hit. But before we dive in too deep, I think it's only fair we give you a taste of what life on the Rainbow Island is like. In Slime Rancher 2, you once again play as Beatrix off on a new quest across the Slime Sea on Rainbow Island. Now I won't lie, the Monomi Park team isn't really changing up the formula, at least not at the start of early access. The game largely resembles the first Slime Rancher, with some subtle changes, new slimes, and new ideas, none of which drastically transform the experience, but do keep things relatively fresh. This time around, you're in charge of a conservatory, a greenhouse-looking structure that acts as your new base of operations for all things slime. You'll spend your days and nights exploring Rainbow Island, capturing slimes in your backpack, harvesting and growing resources, all while trying to create the perfect, profitable sanctuary for your slimes. The beauty of Slime Rancher is that there's really no wrong way to approach the game. It's that same beautiful freedom that makes games like Stardew Valley so easy to enjoy because you have very little restricting you from playing the game the way that you want. At the end of the day, you can opt for a completely min-max sanctuary with hybrid slimes that produce the most profitable plorts, the currency in the game. Or you can simply create a place that you enjoy with things spread out just the way that you want, opting for aesthetics and charm over profits. That's not to say there aren't a loose set of rules keeping the game on track. There definitely are, but here again, Monomi Park is so smart about how they go about doing this. Creatures called tar are basically bad slimes that can come into existence when too many combinations of traditional slimes take place. One slime evolving too far and you'll have an all-consuming tar hopping around and corrupting everything that it touches. If you're not careful or don't know the rules well enough, it's very possible these tars become a problem at your own base, and without some quick action, it's almost impossible to stop them all. Tars aren't really a big bad in the traditional sense, but more of a product of carelessness or experimentation, and they're a fun way to inject some challenge into the world. Even for me, someone that's played both Slime Rancher and Slime Rancher 2 for hundreds of hours, it's still possible to slip up and unleash tar into the world. I will admit the tar as they're currently experienced in the game now are abundant, way more than they were in the original Slime Rancher. I personally don't mind because I think it adds an extra layer of challenge, but it's a big point of contention across the community. However, there are some difficulty settings that completely strip out that challenge from the game, making Slime Rancher 2 a much more casual experience, which is great for folks that just want to enjoy the game for its addictive gameplay loop. And honestly, what a loop it is, because once again, Monomi Park really just understands how to keep the player engaged with their game. In fact, Slime Rancher is one of only a handful of games I've ever played that has absolutely sucked me in for hours on end, making me lose complete track of time itself. At its core is this idea of exploration. At the start, your character, again Beatrix, really doesn't have much in the way of upgrades or enhancements to her kit. Her backpack is pretty basic, she can't sprint for very long, and her jetpack isn't unlocked yet. This makes the first leg of the game really about exploring and discovering the secret nooks and crannies of Rainbow Island. It's probably the most enjoyable part of the game because it's all completely fresh. The world is your oyster, and Monomi Park has this incredible ability to design the world in such a way that every aspect of it is interconnected. You'll move through a cave system, which then ties right back into the overworld, using verticality to create a new vantage point that you didn't even know existed. This was the case in the first game as well, and the team once again manages to impress with that very same level of care put into every square inch of the map. What is slightly different regarding the world are the various islands that make up Rainbow Island. After unlocking access to a new zone, something I won't go into detail on for fear of spoilers, you'll gain access to a sort of portal. This will allow you to move to different parts of the island, and I'll admit, I'm not wild about the load screen and slightly disjointed experience of moving from one part of the world to another. It's not really that big a deal, but it does break up that buttery smooth gameplay loop that's so perfectly designed around the ability to move from one thing to the next with ease. That being said, as you unlock new parts of the world, you'll gain access to new resources, rare slimes, and ultimately, this is what makes the Slime Rancher 2 experience so worthwhile. Once you have access to the full range of slimes and resources the game has to offer, it's really on you to make the most of those offerings. With more at your fingertips, you'll need to think about upgrades, and this is where another new idea comes into the picture. The game's refinery and fabricator system offer a slightly different approach to progression than in the original game. It's nothing wild and crazy, many people will understand this system without much explanation, but it's still a different approach in the world of Slime Rancher. The idea is simple. The refinery acts as a sort of loot chest. Everything that you put in there is permanently stored away. You can't take it back out, but you can use it to craft items and upgrades at the fabricator. Much like any modern crafting system, you'll need different components to make different things. There are options to upgrade Beatrix's core stats and give her access to new traversal options via things like that jetpack we talked about. There are also items you can craft that provide you with more functionality within the world. Things like portals that you can plop down, which will transport you back to the main base. Finally, there are cosmetics that you can use to beautify your new home. You'll need to spend a decent amount of time collecting resources, as things aren't exactly cheap, but the system does create a very real sense of progression. When the game is truly at its best is when you take all of the things you've learned, combine it with all of the upgrades, and create a brand new way to manipulate the world to your will. Using things like refinery links and portals, you can maneuver across Rainbow Island much more seamlessly, dumping resources off at key points so that you can continue to explore and push on the new parts of the world. There are also fun little things to discover, like brand new slimes, such as the ringtail slime, a cheeky little bugger that appears as a statue in the daytime, but comes alive when under the cover of darkness. Fresh little ideas like this provide fun moments, while not drastically changing that formula. If I'm being honest, and let's be clear, that's the point of these reviews, the game in its current early access state hasn't actually done a whole lot to make it feel like a sequel to the main game. Because core systems remain largely unchanged, I would say Slime Rancher 2 feels more like a big DLC or Slime Rancher 1.5. But honestly, that shouldn't take away from the experience. While the team hasn't exactly created a whole new layer of innovation, they have done a lot to improve and tweak existing systems to make them more meaningful or impactful. What I love is that you don't need to play the original Slime Rancher to appreciate this new game either. If the idea of the game intrigues you and you want to jump right in, there's nothing stopping you from picking up and enjoying everything about Slime Rancher 2. You're not missing out, you're just getting a more thought-out experience, albeit still just hitting early access. And on that last point, while it's clear the game is going to be expanded upon further over the coming months, it's far from an incomplete experience. You can pick up this game right now and easily sink 50 to 60 hours into it, just working to perfect your vision of the ultimate ranch. What I will say is that I hope the team tries to step outside the box they've created with the original game. According to the Slime Rancher 2 FAQ on their website, future plans include new zones, more new slimes, more resources, more gadgets, more secrets, and completion events. And this is what I'm talking about here, more gameplay features never explored before in Slime Rancher. The team has also said that while not part of their immediate plans, multiplayer isn't off the table, which, if I'm being honest, would open up this game in a completely new way, especially to more casual players. So while it should be clear at this point that I enjoy Slime Rancher 2, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing new ideas injected into the formula. But with a strong foundation, I think Monomi Park is perfectly set up to try out some bold new innovations as they work through early access to the ultimate 1.0 release of the game. It's honestly hard to knock Slime Rancher 2 for a failure to innovate when the game is still built on one of the most unique gameplay experiences to date. The Monomi Park team knows that they have something incredible with this series, and the new game is no exception. Slime Rancher 2 is just as amazing as the first game, and definitely worth your time. So there you have it, our honest take on Slime Rancher 2. If you found this worth your time review helpful or enjoyable, do me a solid and hit that thumbs up and consider subscribing. There are still a few more big games coming out in 2022, and if you're looking for a new take on some of the year's biggest titles, we've got you covered. I also want to let you know that our 2022 Leave a Legacy charity event is set for Saturday, October 22nd. For a second year in a row, we've partnered with Connecticut Children's to help bring the joy of video games to kids at the hospital. Mark your calendars and be sure to join our charity stream as we raise money for kids and give away hundreds of dollars in free games, prizes, and more. My name is Kodiak, and from everyone here at Legacy Gaming, thanks for watching, and play on.